excessive. Same with some of the animations. And you can end up hearing the same lines over and over too. They also removed some of the memes. All these new interactions are nice and all when you're not being cringe, but Kiriko in particular has pretty weak voice acting, IMO.
We hunt foxes where I come from. Where I'm from, the foxes fight back. I'm almost
Time to save the world? Game on!
We hunt foxes where I come from.
But it's also not really my field, so decide for yourself.
How can you live with yourself? So many people have died because of you.
Yes, but many more have lived.
That makes no sense. Do you hear yourself?
5, 4.
Then, concerning roll queue, I think it's a good idea to limit the amount of tanks we can have now to 1. But, if I'm playing comp and my tank leaves or sucks eggs, I can't fill that gap. I'm not allowed. And no one is coming to backfill in comp, by the way. So get fucked! Now, roll queue used to increase wait times for DPS. But I actually think that bringing the tank down to 1 count alleviates it. But what, do they not trust their players and self-organize? Hey, at least I have both options now. Game mode, push. I do like it, but the worst thing about it is that there's little point in continuing once the enemy team has a massive lead with like 10 seconds left. Some of the changes feel unnecessary too, like the HUD in particular. It just feels like YouTube changing their layout for the 80th time again. Look! The HUD is different. In some areas, I think it's actually kind of worse. I like that there's an actual scoreboard mode though this certainly encourages the toxicity they were spending so much time and effort to get rid of. But all in all, aside from the stuff I just mentioned, I would generally say the game mechanics are an improvement from what we had in Overwatch 1's final days. To be honest, I think I'd actually play now and again, like in my off time, but all this just is more Overwatch again. The whole reason I or anyone even thought about coming back to begin with is because we heard about the PvE, which was discussed as early as almost exactly 3 years ago. So if that's what you were here for, sorry. I think Overwatch 2 represents a lot of wasted potential. I think what we got now should have been a big content pass for Overwatch 1, and Overwatch 2 could have been pure PvE with its own mechanics. Overwatch 1 should have stayed for those who liked the PvP, so players could have either one, and if the server loads too much, you don't even have to keep the servers up, just give fans a copy of their server stuff so that they can keep it alive. This way you have the freedom to have the abilities to be as bullshit as you want, because there are no human players to piss off. Oh, fucking robot got random crit in the head, who cares? And then I could play with my friends or alone and there'd be no issues about how much of a good time I might have if you modulate the difficulty based on player size. Overwatch 2 could have taken its own path and both games could be distinct, you know, to warrant a 2 on the end. The old PvE was boring after a little while though. It was too simplistic, so I thought a whole game dedicated to just the PvE would be a lot more in-depth and fun. It's already far too late for PvP to pivot its mechanics anyway. I mean, look at all the time they've invested. So much work went into all this shit, so what happens when a mechanic is bad or poorly balanced? That's a lot of work to just throw away, and you can't retcon them out of the lore either. They're in there for good. This is why I thought it would be a good idea to split the 2 games. Oh well. And now it's time for the most depressing part of the video. I don't think Overwatch has a very bright future ahead. In fact, we're already kind of in the middle of it. Remember the PTR? The new character was basically finalized. The new map had finished art. I thought the point of the PTR was to playtest stuff, but they were basically done, assuming that only minor tweaks would be needed. What if the map sucked? I mean, just look at Horizon Lunar Colony, or Paris, which were apparently so bad they got permanently taken out of rotation. What if the new hero playstyle was fundamentally flawed? Even in an explicit testing zone, they couldn't drop the polish for 1 second to make sure the mechanics would still work with the much wider player base. For all I know, maybe internal testing really is sufficient for this, but does it not have a greater risk of them adding a shitty character? And I mean, just look at how well people received Brigitte upon her debut. The real point I want to make, though, is that I think Blizzard will never give up their game to the fans. To show you what I mean, I went and played some workshop for Overwatch 1. I just wanted to, see what that was. I played a boss rush mode. There was a red light, green light type game, which was actually a lot of fun, even if the Seekers had bullshit advantage the whole time. And even a point-and-click adventure, which I got
Let's
for
finish this right now!
10 minutes. But it was still surprisingly restrictive. It seems like a refusal on Blizzard's part to allow modding or really any player contributions of any kind. They don't let you import custom maps, characters, animations, textures, sound, music, or even sprays or custom profile pictures. It's as if they have this fucking death grip on their game. Back in the final days of Overwatch 1, I found a Doomfist parkour server in the workshop. I thought, there's only like 3 moves, how in depth could this possibly be? Well, boy was I fucking wrong. And the shit you're seeing on screen right now, that's just hard difficulty. There were like 12 other difficulties ahead of this, and players were free to make their own courses. This community was apparently large enough to warrant its own Discord server, but now it's gone. Doomfist has different mechanics now. Those players invested who knows what kind of time. I mean, one I ever put in, and now it's gone. How long is it before the parts of Overwatch you liked are gone too? While I was waiting to get into Overwatch 2 for the first time, I couldn't help but think it was kind of dumb. But hey, server issues on day 1 are expected, right? I mean, the word DDoS was thrown around, so how can I possibly complain? My boy, I can. Think about it. I have to connect to a server before I can even play single player? I can't even fuck around offline in the practice range, learn the new heroes? I mean, that's something I spent 30 minutes doing anyway, but it's worse than just wasting my time. Imagine this for a second. Let's say there's an album you love, right? And you pay for a file of said album. The only way to listen to that file is to use a decoder, which is only accessible online. But one day, that online decoder dies, and they don't provide a copy of it. You now have a very expensive junk text file that you can't read or use. Even though you paid very good money to own that instance. This is games as a service. It's a bit simplified, but that's what it is. One day, Overwatch is going offline for good. Maybe not soon, maybe not for a long time, but someday it will. What happens to your copy of Overwatch 1 and all those in-game items you paid for? They're yours. Imagine if you bought like a bass guitar or something, and then someone comes into your room, takes your bass away, and hands you a flute instead. And says, basses are just gone forever now. Rip all your time investment. Isn't that bullshit? And it's what Blizzard is doing to Overwatch right now. It's what they've been doing this whole time. Now, they don't have to save every possible version of this game Minecraft style. They could at least give the fans something, instead of just letting the game disappear forever when they're done with it. People used to really like this game. There was all this community passion, all these memes. Now the general impression that I get is that no one's being chosen. You can't even go back to when it was good. Having said all that, there are still pockets of fun in Overwatch. I don't think the game is beyond redemption or anything. And while there's definitely a lot of bullshit here, I'm not really sure I can go as far as I hate it, and I'd never play it again. If you can get past the ways in which Blizzard is fucking their own game, and the inherent volatility and dumb bullshit of the matches, then Overwatch 2 can actually be pretty fun. But it's kind of a lot to get over, and there's no shame in not wanting to roll the dice to see if you're gonna have a good time. When you're winning, or at least when the match is pretty neck and neck, the game can be pretty rewarding, so long as you're not dying over and over. But when you're losing, or especially when you're on a loss streak, you can just start to question why you even fucking bothered in the first place. I can honestly still see myself hopping in now and again, but it also feels like somewhat of a waste to try to get better at the game. And while I do think what we got here is better than Overwatch 1, it's also still pretty disappointing to have no PvE.
Pain said, what did you do?
You know what? Maybe I'll talk about it when they actually release it. Jeez.
Pain said yes, PV. Pain said fuck it up.
Team, we're gonna do great.
Oh, thank you for the gift.
Unfortunately, she likes Overwatch. I don't think it would ever work between
It sounds better when I say it.
Being stuck in a rank
Over here.
Poor Reinhardt.
is one of the worst experiences.
What he
in
must have
all
seen
of
here.
Overwatch. Now, unfortunately, there's a special place that it feels like no matter what you do,
Everyone ready?
you can never leave, and that's Elo Hell. Whether there's Smurfs running rampant, zero teamwork, or massive ego, I have got to get you out of Elo Hell right now, or you're gonna lose your mind. So, let's break down exactly how to get out of bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Now, according to this, 99% of you are not subscribed. And if you like the content and want to support the channel, please smash the like and subscribe. Tons more educational content, so you don't miss out.
Neutralizing projectile.
I know what you're saying. There's no way you can
Nothing
get
gets
me out
past
of
me.
because I have anything. Players don't have any
Initiating defense matrix.
just random characters are ruining my games and players with massive egos. But a little backstory on me, I started in silver on console, grinded to gold, swapped to PC, back to silver, grinded thousands of hours to get to plat,
Forward
and
barrier
thousands more to
activated.
get to diamond. And using a lot of the tips that got me there allowed me to snowball all the way to Grandmaster and improve at a very rapid pace. So let's run down what you need to do. The first thing that you need to understand is that if you become good enough,
Neutralizing projectile.
no matter what back you want to. And I know, we're talking about all that stuff that can hold you back from climbing. But if you become good enough, you can climb even in spite of those things. And you might be saying, Mills, my games are just not winnable. But I want to remind you of the 20, 40, 40. So what if you play are going to be unwinnable? Whether you have a leader, someone throwing or there's a Smurf on the enemy team, no matter what you do, those games are not going to be won. But there's another
Engaging
20%
thrusters.
that are basically
Engaging enemy forces.
I have the power.
Everyone relax.
It's better if you have a Smurf on your team, the enemy team's throwing, or your team is just so different. Regardless of the reason, it's important to understand that there's a certain percentage of games you will auto win and you will auto lose. And I know it feels really frustrating because some games are out of control, but it's important that you focus on that final 40%, which are games that are directly controlled by your impact. It's going to be games where if you have less mistakes and more plays, you're going to win them, but if those
아직 전투중이라고.
you're gonna lose them. And it's really important that you focus on these games that are within your control because the other ones don't matter. They're not overall what pushes you out of Elo Hell. This is
Flying high.
sentence. Now realize in this rule, if you win those 40% and you take that 1% that you guaranteed to win, that's a 60% win rate that gives you some wiggle room to still lose a certain amount of the games that are in your control range. And you'll still have a positive win rate. All you need is about 50 to make that climb slow and steady out of Elo Hell. So, you might be asking, what are the things that you
Nerf
can do to make sure that you're maximizing that
Triple kill,
40%?
let's go,
Well,
baby.
we can talk about all the
Calling in
things
the
that
big
are in
guns.
this Elo Hell,
Oh,
and then
sick.
you will know
Game
exactly
on.
what you
Let's
need
go.
to do and exploit in order to climb out of it. The first thing is teamwork. Now, there's not going to be a lot of teamwork in Elo, but you already knew that. That's one of the reasons why you're frustrated. Now, the easiest way
I'm on fire. What else is new?
bring your own synergy with you and you
Let's
get
take him to the wasteland.
Fail.
not just once, not just twice, as many times as you possibly can. Get that guaranteed value, those free fight wins, and win over again. Now I know. You might not have any friends, neither do I. So you don't have to do it alone. So what else can you do? Well, the second thing you can do is use your teammates without their consent. Wait. You can use your teammates
I'll start the
to
lab
pull off
over again.
plays and get more
That was only a
impact
warm-up.
without them actually trying to coordinate with you. This means that if a teammate is fighting an enemy, you jump in and you interact with them. This means that if one of your teammates is getting dove, you peel and go assist in order to get a free kill. See here, the difference between this and teamwork is premeditated and trying to work together. But here, you're waiting and watching so you're aware of your teammate's actions and utilizing the pressure
Nothing
and
gets past me.
to amplify your own plays, even if they
Initiating
don't work
defense
that
matrix.
equation on purpose. That is the way in which you still impact the value from your teammates without them actually working together. And then the last thing you need to understand about teamwork is that enemies aren't going to have you. This means they're less likely
Hey, I got
to
it
heal.
again.
This means
Play
they're
the
less
game,
likely to
baby.
combo, and
Another
they're
one.
going to be more
Let's
gas-
go. Watch this.
Pain said WTF.
That's what I'm saying. I be doing this shit like crazy.
Pain said, are you live?
And if you
Yeah, that's
fine. The next thing that characterized
in a row.
Halo Hell
Two in a
is
row, baby.
four mechanical
Pain said, why not TikTok now?
Now, this is another
I
hard
had to
truth.
switch phones
if you're
because the other one
stuck
died.
in low gold or lower, you have very
Switching
poor
right now.
mechanical skill. Now, the reason I say this is if you have really good Overwatch mechanical
Yeah, I can do
skill,
3.
you can climb yourself all the way to platinum without actually knowing that much about Overwatch or being that competent at Overwatch specifically.
Pain said you can
Bad
do
game
anything.
sense, poor positioning, but if your mechanics are on point, you will still climb. Now, don't rage at me. Admittance is the first step on the road to recovery, or the road out of your damn rank. But all joking aside, your aim does need work. And while I wish I could give you a magic pill that would just get you that aim, you need to realize that mechanics are a constant work in progress. You're never gonna wake up one day and magically have aim after 100 flicks, 100 180s, and 100 tracking of the enemy. I don't care how bald you become, you're not gonna magically gain that aim. But there are many people that play for a very long time and don't improve their aim.
Pain said, not
Why?
excuses.
So what are they really doing wrong? The first thing is their settings are not optimal.
Pain said,
When you're on
excuse, fuck me.
mouse, keyboard, or controller, depending on the character you play, you need to optimize everything. From your sensitivity to the settings that are going to max out your FPS and get you the most optimal performance in game. While this is going to be different for every single person, I want you to become very interested in how to make your settings feel good, how to make your
Time to
setup
save
feel
the
good,
world?
and how to
Game
feel
on!
fresh and comfortable with your equipment
Today's a
every
good
single time you
day
pick it
for
up.
some
Next up,
mayhem.
you need specific practice every day, playing with the intent to improve your aim. Now, there's several factors to good aim in Overwatch. There is the raw mechanical aim, which is something that you will develop over time. Most people already have it if they played FPSs before coming to Overwatch. The second thing is movement, and this is the biggest reason why many people that come from other shooters can't aim in Overwatch, because it's very difficult to hit your shots in Overwatch when players can crouch and move left and right without affecting their aim at all. This means people can crouch spam, move left and right, jump, and still be perfectly accurate, and it's very hard for you to hit the turn. So practicing against characters in moving very quickly in a mode like Try Free For All or a mode that simulates real movement. That's how you're actually going to be able to hit shots in Overwatch, not just practicing an aim trainer all day, every day.
Oh
You
my
have
god, I
good
almost saved
positional
myself,
turns.
bro. I was
Well,
down
yes,
the
it's
rock.
going to fulfill that raw aim department. That's only one tiny piece of how to actually improve your mechanical skill. Now, the last thing
They're
is
counting on
practice
me.
pressure. And this is something that you have to slowly and surely become used to in Overwatch.
Pain said, okay, but why did you fly off the edge, loudly crying face?
Not only do you have to be able to aim, not only do you have to be able to hit
Neutralizing
those
projectile.
very quickly, we have to be under
Healer.
pressure when multiple enemies are trying to kill you and killing you very quickly. Think an honor that has to speed a nano-blading game. That's the most stressful situation to be under, because if you miss one ability, you die, and if you hit it, not only do you stop the game, you most likely flip the entire fight in your favor and win it. It's actually kind of ironic that the times in which we need the absolute best aim for us to be playing at peak performance are in the times when
Pain said, if you ever get hooked, headlock. Don't defend Matrix. Remember, if you get hooked, you can fly away with her boosters before he can shoot
the
you.
absolute best way
Just
to
fun fact,
overcome
2 hearts love you.
is to limit testing in a more controlled environment like quick play. Basically, you have less pressure on you because you're
Speeding
not
up.
concerned about your rank, and limit testing means that you push your character to the absolute brink, and you play in a way that you do not care about living or dying. I'm not saying that you should play poorly and give up all rhyme and reason, but what I am saying is that you try to hit the sleep guard in the last minute. You try to kill the enemy instead of running away. Use your health as a resource to exit. Don't run away and always retreat from danger, because there's going to be many situations where you have the option to retreat, get healed, and back to Instead, you have to well, you can practice in these controlled environments so that you can become more numb to the pressure when you have to perform it in-game when
Pain said,
the
yes,
entire
Bean.
game is on the line in a clutch moment. Now, we do got to talk about Smurfs,
had to get that
and
big ass
I want to make this clear. Many people claim they're up against Smurfs far more than players actually play against Smurfs.
Pain said, throw that mecha at him.
Because someone's playing incredibly well one game doesn't mean that they're a Smurf. It doesn't matter what their account status is. People can come from various skill
Pain said,
levels,
I see.
and there's no guarantee that who you're playing against is a Smurf. Smurf or not a Smurf, all that matters is that you don't let it psychologically get you. If a player is playing incredibly well, look for ways to get value on you.
Nerf
Shut
this.
down their game. I don't care if it's a streamer or a pro, every single player
Come here,
makes mistakes,
Toki.
and look for those mistakes.
misclicked the button.
Let's mess up this party.
You will become better.
Kane said you're fine face blowing a kiss.
Trying to get out of here. Help me get out.
Toki
But
compromised.
everyone you run into as being a Smurf, stop playing the game. You think it's unwinnable. If the end goal is to climb out of your rank into the ranks that these Smurfs actually play in, how are you gonna run away from a head-on fight right here and now?
I got too hyped.
The next time
Kane said you can eat to grab things or yacht throws with the defense matrix.
this is one of the biggest reasons why I see people stay
Tactical
in low
visor
rank for a
activated.
very long time. But they built up
this thing?
preconceptions of the game, and they do not allow their minds
Kane
to
said yes.
change. Even now, no matter what rank I get to or how well I'm playing, I always come across every meta and every interaction.
Who invited the
The
rookie?
reason I do this is because just because something has been true,
Kane said you can also eat the blizzard that gets thrown by me.
Yeah.
fundamental ideas can change, and
Holding
it's
up,
very
G.
important that you don't think about the game in a very limited way. Don't think about the game like
I'm out.
Reaper beats Monkey, or you should swap to this because this counters this. The game is far too complex to set up to a very simple understanding like this. And if you try to take whatever high-brain logic or whatever a streamer said and apply it to your game, you're only going to hold yourself back if you're not
I'm
constantly
not giving
adapting
up.
and learning. And remember, with every big rule that exists, there could always be a situation that comes
Kane
up
said,
where
"Are people
you
talking?"
break that rule and you win. Like the last thing
Speeding up. Gotta fail.
Kane said I can hear voices that aren't yours.
There's always someone better.
Oh, it's just
doesn't
a
matter if
video
you're Grandmaster or Top 500 or Rank 1. There is
Kane said,
someone
"Okay, okay."
that will absolutely
Just talking
body you.
about
I
Overwatch.
guarantee it. Overwatch has some of the highest skill ceiling in the game, and it's very important that if you truly want to
Kane
improve,
said such a cootie.
drop the ego, accept personal responsibility for your wins and losses, try to
TikTok
improve
live's
your
popping off
mechanics,
right now.
your understanding of the game, and I promise you, if you do all these things combined,
Zero, like,
don't give up, you
Oh, you got
will
one.
100%
Got one.
climb out of elo hell. I guarantee it. But smash the
Even
like,
really like
subscribe, and let me know down below.
All systems
what
fired
kinds
up
of
and ready
videos
to engage.
I had
Next.
56
Hit the
I had
ball.
68
Bye. Hope you enjoyed the video,
when I first started
and I'll
Overwatch.
see you next time.
Live streaming on TikTok this morning. 68 viewers for like 5 minutes.
4,
Yeah.
3,
Oh, sick.
1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
I'm not a loser. Let it go.
Yeah, be better.
Engaging thrusters.
I offer something more.
I need that healing right? Thank you.
The objective is now.
Nothing gets past me.
Need a moment to recharge.
Giggling neck. I'm out.
Junkrat, you're not doing a
They're
very good job,
counting
bro.
on me.
We're in this together.
Systems online.
All of us.
A fox is not taken twice in the same snare.
What's the rush? They can't hurt
I'm under attack.
Not so fast. Go, my friend. Stay put.
We're broken. May I? Misery made manifest.
Clear out.
Oh my god.
imperfection, we build a new world. Behold my creation.
Hello, Palevi.
Turret materialized.
You cannot escape. Fire at will. Expect the unexpected.
Defeat. Play of the game. Traveling to prepare to attack. Select your hero.
From imperfection, we build a new world.
As good as I am with a bow, I promise you, I was better with a sword.
I see you glancing at me. You wish to ride me into battle?
What a preposterous thought!
Do not lie, Archer. It is beneath you.
Hey!
5, 4,
Attack!
3, 2, 1. Attack commencing.
Distributing turrets.
I should
Escort
have done
the
the bomb right there.
I'm with Prakash Sejivan. The payload has stopped. We must coordinate a plan. Aligning sentry positions. Teleporter materialized.
I didn't do it fucking close enough.
Positioning turret.
Back off.
Hey! A falling star. Mom would be proud.
I like how you actually revived me.
I finish my
Nobody else
projects.
revives me.
Help me move the payload.
रास्ता खुल गया है. Distributing turrets.
I am strong and brave.
प्रकाश से जीवन में.
Advancing the payload. The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Adjusting turret placement.
You can't hide.
What's
We must fight to let the dragon
that?
consume
Aligning
you!
defense system.
The Kitsune. Let's get the payload going.
Behold my creation. Marking my turret materialized.
No moving back.
I cannot be stopped.
Meet your fate.
प्रकाश से जीवन में.
Mom would be proud.
Now, distributing turrets. Eyes over. Sentry in position. यही परम वास्तविकता है. Adjusting perfect motion.
The kitsune is ready to be unleashed.
I will not lose focus. Teleporter taking shape. Over there. What happened? The payload has stopped. Fire at will. Aligning sentry positions. This one.
Meet your fate.
Hey. We must move with the payload.
Consume you!
Turret materialized.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Ultimate is ready.
Enemy! Engaging
Your presence will not be missed.
You have no excuses. Let the kitsune guide you.
The way is clear. Moving the payload.
Time for the reckoning.
Cherry blossoms in the rain.
Say Jivo. I finish my projects. Teleporter manifested.
Try again if you dare.
रक्षा प्रणाली समर्पित कर. रास्ता खुल गया है. Fire at will.
Be purified.
The thing bomb.
Огонь по
Be
готовности.
purified. Group up here.
There is always more to learn.
Kanezaka Jinja protects you.
Meet your fate.
Turret materialized. Constructing my teleporter. I'm here.
Do not move.
Group up
With
here.
each failure comes new perspective. That is a decent position.
I'll find them.
My ultimate is
Teleporter taking. Aligning sentry positions.
time. Let the kitsune guide you.
Turret materialized.
Reach your fate.
Adjusting turret ring.
Victory. Play of the game.
I need to touch grass for a little bit. Dying.